Brewers spring training complex in the big league locker room, seeing your name on a locker and seeing your uniform hanging there, you get a lot of pictures, so don't hesitate to do that. We've got a great group of coaches. We got a lot of the guys coming back from last year because I heard that nothing but great things about the coaches from a year ago. Some of them are here tonight. Some that live here. I know one of them, I'm going to leave their name not mentioned, but he had a birthday party for his wife last night, and he said he got hammered and he's hurting and he can't make it out here tonight. He wore number 5 for the Brewers. He was a power-hitting outfielder. And maybe you could just, it's a good excuse. I mean, if you're going to get drunk, you do it for your wife, I guess. Anyway, welcome. These guys, the coaches, they're here for you. This is your week. Take pictures, get autographs, talk to them. Enjoy yourself. This is your week. And if you have any issues, come talk to your coach. And if you don't get any resolution on that playing time or what have you, come to me, and I'll see what I can do. I know this week starts with everybody having a heavy heart, right? Bob Uecker passed away Thursday, and a big part of all of our lives. I've been getting text messages all the time, and people saying how tough it has to be on me and the broadcasters. Well, you know what it is, but it's tough on you too. I mean, you're not going to be able to hear Bob do games anymore, and that's going to be a sad thing. You're going to rely on Jeff Levering. Stand up, Jeff. That was not a riff. It came out like that. See, Jeff does a lot of radio, he does a lot of TV. I've been partners with Jeff for a few years, and he's fantastic. He actually brought his dad's here with him. Jeff's a camper, his dad, Bruce. Bruce is going to be umpiring. So we've got 4 games in the morning, 4 games in the afternoon. I have hired 3 umpires. And Bruce is going to be an umpire, morning games, afternoon games, and he's a legitimate umpire, right, Bruce?
Some think so.
Yeah.
I told Bruce that he'd be more than happy to come down and umpire as long as you ring Jeff up a couple of times. But anyway, yeah, we're going to be talking about Bob a little bit. We're going to be thinking about Bob on Thursday when I got the text message from Jeff telling me that Bob passed away. I spent Thursday a range of emotions, like I'm sure all of you did, right? I mean, there's a range of emotions. You think about the funny things that you said, the way he delivered a game, the way he weaved stories in and amongst the game like no one else ever has been able to do. And no one will do that again, the way he was able to do it. And a lot of the day, crying. There's nothing wrong with that. That's cathartic, and I think it's good. And I don't think that's the end of the tears for Bob Uecker. So, anyway, my wife Kate, who's over there selling her stuff. As soon as we got the message and we kind of got through most of the day, she said you should do a banner for Bob and hang it up in the happy hour room. And so what better way to honor Bob and his memory, his home run call, but we'll never forget him. And we have some of our coaches here today, and I'd like them to come up and share maybe a real quick anecdote about Bob. Now this is going to be a fun week. We're not going to do a memorial all week long for Mr. Baseball, but I think we owe it to ourselves and Bob to honor his memory here, really early on here in this thing. So it leaves a great void. So George guitarist, Greg Vaughn, Tim Dillard, Eddie Cedar, Luke Roy, Ron Robinson, Vinny, and Augie. Come on up. You guys come Bob Uecker touched all these guys, as well as me. And if you were to ask each and every one of these guys, what was the funniest thing that you ever did and that you saw, it's hard to answer that question because it wasn't just jokes. It wasn't just like one-liners. It was just the way he dealt with people and he dealt with you, and he was honest about everything. So he taught us all a lot of stuff. So Eddie, why don't you come on up, share a little bit of maybe a quick anecdote about what your feelings about you.
I spent 15 years with Uke in major leagues, and definitely irreplaceable. I mean, definitely the best. The one thing that I always remember about Uke, I just remember we used to play the Liars Dice game on the plains and everything, but all that aside, Uke always made sure that he treated everyone the same, no matter what we were at the hotels, the luggage people, the clubbies, everybody Uke reached out and always made time for people, which was kind of cool because everyone wanted to do it, and Uke was always there to do it, and that's what I remember most about him. Like I said, irreplaceable, one of a kind, and definitely the best. And this year, my team, what's my team name, Rock?
Just a bit outside. Back again this year, Jonathan Luke. Luke, come on up.
Hey guys, thanks for coming back. You know, this year obviously is kind of on a sad note with, with what happened to you. But I tell you what, man, I mean, to flip it on the positive side, he lived a great life. And if you know him personally, which a lot of you did through his broadcasts and through your lives of listening to him pretty much your entire life. I mean, he touched a lot of people. He knew my daughter by name. He'd always ask me how my daughter's doing, my wife. He checked on me. Even whenever I left the Brewers and went and played, he'd still text me and check in. We'd talk a couple times in off season. And I got some really good stories on him, some funny stuff that he would say. And some of that I shared on social media. But, he was really a special guy. He was super positive. And, outside of Milwaukee, not a lot of people even realize he actually played baseball. He was a major league catcher, and his whole comedy shtick was cracking on himself and making fun of himself and talking about how bad he was and all that. But he was actually a good player, and I think he played 5 or 6 years in the big leagues as a catcher. And you can't suck and do that. So he was really a good player. Yeah, Eddie tried. Kind of like Rock. Rock played big leagues too, and so he was actually better than he said he was, but it was all part of his comedy thing. But he was a special guy, and someone that I was talking about earlier with somebody. You're never going to find a former player that didn't love you. Like, I don't know anybody that didn't love him, but he would always come to the clubhouse and he would sit with me at my locker. He'd talk to Georgie because we were both catchers. He would always hang around the catchers a lot and make sure and talk to us. When Maldi was there, he talked to Maldi a lot. He always connected with us just because that's what he did. And, he's a special guy. And, as we go out throughout this week, if you guys want to hear some stories about it, we can talk about it. But, he'd want us to have fun, and he wouldn't want us to be sad for him, right? You know that. He'd want us to go out and party and have fun and take some shots for him and everything else. So it's going to be a good week, guys. It's going to be fun playing for you this week.
By the way, the rest of you guys got to be a little shorter because we've got to be out of here at 9 o'clock. Real quick, now Ron Robinson was a fantasy camp coach back in the day. Years ago. He just got done doing the Reds camp. Ronnie was a pitcher, spent some time with the Brewers. He's a real popular guy. Clubhouse guys love Ronnie. And so Ron Robinson, back at fantasy camp, your thoughts real quick about you.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. I wanted to come back and do the Brewers camp because I got over there in 1990. When I got traded over, my kids were more happy that I got traded to Milwaukee because Bob Uecker was there. Mr. Belvedere. Dad, can I meet him? Can I meet him? Can I meet him? And Bob came out of the clubhouse and met my kids, and that made their day. And you know what? Bob had time for everybody. When I was starting, he would spend time in the clubhouse talking about pitching and stuff, and he's the funniest white guy I ever met. He's great. Last time I saw him was at the park, and me and Rob went up and said hi, and you know, he made my day. He was always also cheerful and just a great guy. You know, if you've been around the game, you know who Bob Euchre is. So he's great. Thanks.
George guitarist. Georgie's back. Thanks for time. George. I don't know what I'm doing.
I had come over from the Red Sox to the Brewers, and I'd caught Tim Wakefield over there, so you and I instantly connected, you know, talking about knuckleballers and, you know, batting it down and chasing after it, and, you know, he's had a bunch of those kind of one-liners, but there was one time, you know, he just got out of the swim X in the clubhouse, and he's like, Georgie, make sure you're in the clubhouse in the 5th inning, I'm doing a promo. So I usually head down to the bullpen in the 6th inning, so I came inside a little early, and I'm listening on his broadcast, and then I guess it was a Vienna beef promo or something like that, so he was talking about, you know, put your 100% beef hot dog in a nice warm bun, and he was making all sorts of sexual innuendos and stuff like that. And, we were all dying laughing.
This guy needs no introduction. Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon.
Wow, that was a big applause. Don't stop. No, I grew up watching VHS tapes of the Wacky World of Sports with Bob Euchre. That's the first time I ever, you know, knew who he was, and I thought, this guy is awesome. This guy's hilarious. And then, of course, Major League comes out, and you're like, this dude's the funniest person that's ever lived. And I never thought in a million years that I would even, you know, play professional baseball, but then to get with the Brewers and then finally meet him and then get a chance to see him every day in the press box, it's unbelievable, this man. You know, Ron saying he had time for everybody. You'd be in the press box doing whatever, and then all of a sudden you could feel it. You feel the vibe change in the press box, and you knew he just walked in. And he had an entourage with him because otherwise he wouldn't make it to the press box on time for the game. He would just talk to everybody. He had time for everybody, talked to everybody, knew everyone's name. I've never met a person like that. I don't think a person like him has ever stepped on this earth, and I don't think anyone ever will again. He was special. So,
And my main man, Vinny Rottino.
So you guys I don't need to remind you guys how bad I was in the big leagues, right? I hit 165, okay? I was an embarrassingly bad player. However, I grew up in Wisconsin, right? I'm a cheeser just like a lot of people in this room. I grew up listening to Bob Euchre. My dad loved the Brewers. He's from the Bronx, but he loved the Brewers because of Bob Euchre, right? Listening to him on the radio. We would drive up to the ballpark to watch a game together, listening to Bob Euchre, do the pregame show. And so then I got lucky enough to sign a professional contract and get into spring training with the Milwaukee Brewers, that I was scared out of my mind, right, to be in a big league clubhouse for the first time, see a guy like Bob Euchre, who again, I just idolized growing up. And he just would make a point every single day to talk to me and be like, hey, Vinny, how's it going? You know, and it was just the fact that he treated me not like the guy that hit 165 over the course of 5 different seasons in the big leagues, but a guy that, you know, I was like a 10-year big leaguer to him in his eyes. And so that's how he treated everybody. It really was. And so that's just Bob Euchre to a T.
Thanks, man. I'll tell you what, so a 165 batting average gets you a couple of million a year these days. And a couple of home runs at 165. Scotty Carl, Scotty just made it in. Thanks for coming in, Scotty.
So my story is a little bit more of a kind of a roast on you, but one of my funnest experiences ever. So we're playing in Philly at the old Veterans Stadium on July 4th. So Freedom Town, July 4th. the field's down on the water, the team hotel's like 20 minutes away with no traffic. And so the game's over and the fireworks, and there's a bazillion people down there, and I was pitching, threw a good game but lost, so I'm like pissed and down and whatnot, and I'm like, it's gonna take 2 hours to get back to the hotel. I'm even more pissed. Anyways, we get back on the bus, and I'm riding on the bus, so Uke is, oh, hold on, go ahead.
He's calling.
Kangaroo court!
That's a prime example of court right there. So anyways, we get on the bus, and Uke's synonymous with the Brewers. So like, he's always in the front seat. He's always in first class on the planes. Like, he's up at the front. So Uke takes his seat in the front of the bus, and I'm just in the back, and again, still pissed off, whatever. I got a 2-hour bus ride. And you see all these cops milling around the bus. For whatever reason, I don't know. Anyways, we pull out of the thing, and we're driving down the street, and you can just see it's all lined with people and cars, and we're not gonna go anywhere. And all of a sudden, all these motorcycle cops come flying past us, and they're basically blocking all the streets so that we can run all the red lights and go back to the hotel as fast as we can. And it's almost like a scene out of Speed. We are not gonna go below 55, we're gonna blow up, and we're hauling ass, and the bus driver's like moving around, and all the motorcycle cops, and Euchre is white knuckling the rail in front. Slow this fucking bus down! Yelling at the driver who will not slow down. And we get back to the hotel in 20 minutes, the best ride I've ever been on, and Euchre's sweating, and I didn't even remember the game.
You know, those police escorts are the best. We get them in DC, we get them in Washington, LA, it's like crazy. They block off entrance ramps and you were just flying through. This is a Brewers, right? Yeah. Euchre had something to do with it. So anyway, Augie probably knew Bob Euchre longer than any of us. Jerry Augustine, good buddy.
Yep.
Hell of a pitcher. Tell us what you thought about you.
All right. Well, I'm more than anybody in here probably. I know Yuki. Called my first game. Named me the Kiwani Kid back in 1938. I made my first start. But actually, he did. He called my first game against the Yankees. My first start when I came up in '75. Called the first game. He named me the Kiwani Kid. But I could sit up here forever. But a couple of stories that come back to me that really hit me was. In 1 year, I was the only lefty in the bullpen, and Harvey was our manager, and we're playing against the New York Yankees. And they're handing our ass to us. They're just kicking the crap out of us. And I had just pitched like 8 straight days in a row. Harvey calls out. Get the lefty up. I get up. Calls me in the game. I walk in the game. I get on the mound. Harvey hands me the ball. I look up. Simmons is already behind the plate, and Harvey hands me the ball and walks off. I'm going like, what the hell's going on? So I get on the mound, I look at Simmons, and I don't even know what the signs were. There's a runner on second base, and nobody on first. So I looked in, and he gave me the snap sign. Well, what do you do when he snaps it? You snap the hitter, you hit the hitter. And it was Ken Griffey Sr. First pitch, I threw, I hit him right in the rear end. Griffey dropped the bat, ran to first base. After the game was over, and we showered, nobody said anything to me the whole game. Harvey came up, got the ball, walked in the clubhouse, he showered, walked out, you walked by, and he looked at me, and he winked, and he said, nice job. But one of the stories that is and I probably, before this, you couldn't tell it really. Every night time that we played in Detroit, we used to go to a bar called Lindell AC. Some of you guys, when you played in Detroit, the guy in the clubhouse, he'd have chicken wings after a game. We had 25 players and he'd give us 13 chicken wings. So we had to go eat someplace. So everybody would go to Lindell AC for a burger and that. So Gumby and I one night said, hey, let's go have a burger and have a beer and that. We walk in and there's like 5 or 6 or 7 players in there. So we get done and we're walking back to the Pontchartrain where we stay. So all of a sudden we get to a stoplight and here comes a cab and it's you out the back window. Coney Island, everybody, Coney Island. Sure enough, we go down and Coney Island was right on the way. We get to Coney Island, there's like 15 ball players there. And what Uke is doing, he took Coney Island and you know they're long and narrow. Well, he had the guy in Coney Island put the tables all in a nice narrow line And then what he did was he'd go on the street and all the bums that were laying on the road, he'd get them and bring them in. He had the hot dogs coming. He spent something like $400 on hot dogs. And after it was over, he says, tonight we're doing it. Tonight's the night. We had 16 ball players there. So he got us outside of Coney Island. He got us in the street. He got us in 4 rows of 4. And he had Clete Boyer, who's one of his best friends from the Oakland A's. He said, okay, boys, here we go. We're in the middle of the street, 3 o'clock in the morning, Detroit. He goes, all right, right, left, and we're marching down the street on the way back to the Pontchartrain. We get up to a main drag, there's stoplights going, and all of a sudden, here come 2 cop cars. They're going, the lights are going, the guys go right in front, they jump up, what the hell's going on? Uke walks over to him and he goes, are you Bob Uecker? And he goes, yeah. He said, hey guys, I'll tell you what we're doing. Every year we march into the stadium. These ball players march into the stadium, we do this, we do it every year. The only time we get to practice is after a game. What we did is, so he said, oh, okay. He said, but we're gonna help you. I swear to God, we marched 4 blocks back to the hotel. We had a police car with a siren and the lights going in front and one back. And I'll tell you what, one of the most fun I've ever had.
I remember one time in Pittsburgh, we stayed at the Westin there, and they had the fish market restaurant. Remember the fish market? And it just so happened that a lot of times when we were playing the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh, the furries were there. Remember the furries? Yeah. These people would they dress up in cat suits and dogs and and horses and stuff like that. It's crazy. And the Pittsburgh was filled with them, walking up and down the streets. And I'm not even going to tell you what I was told by the guy that ran the hotel, what they were doing in the room, but that's for another time. But I walk into the bar after a game one night, and there's Uke sitting there, and on one side of him is a guy dressed up as a cat. Another guy next to him, he's dressed up as a horse. And you could just sit there drinking his beer, whatever it was, and he's like chatting with him, and he sees me and he says, Rocky, come on over here, I want you to be my buddy. Needless to say, I took a turn around and walked right out. So anyway, that's the kind of guy Bob Uecker was, man. He embraced everybody. He wasn't judgmental. He leaves a big void in our hearts with his passing, but he would want us to go on, right? He would come to fantasy camp quite a bit. He'd sign autographs. He came to happy hour every now and again, and he would want all of you to have a great week. So that's what Bob Uecker would want. So let's just do a moment of silence for you real quick before we move on. We take our hats off. All right, thanks guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.